Mail everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I'm going to do a quick update on my phone here with Bitcoin and the miners, see how well this works. I'm stepping away from my computer right now, so we'll see. I got the Ichimoku cloud here pulled up. For those people who follow me, you know I follow the Ichimoku cloud very, very closely. And even on the weekly, it doesn't really tell you too much. I mean, we did break underneath the Tenkan Kitchen over here. We did have a bearish cross. And right now, prices is still underneath of that. So you might end up hitting some resistance right around the cross area there, which is going to be closer to around 60,000. I think that might be a strong resistance there that we probably have to worry about when we get there. But there are a lot of very positive development. One is so far looking like it's a very, very nice hammer candle. I mean, so far the candle only started happening on Sunday, right? So right now it's only 2 days into the week. We'll talk about and see how the week closes on Sunday. Who knows? Maybe there's a little bit of a black swan that could be coming and that nobody can expect that. But so far, the reaction off of the 49,000 range has been very, very excellent. You see a very nice hammer candle here. And I just look at a different time frame here. If you look at not just the weekly, look at the 2-week time frame, you can see that it really bounced right off of the Kijun, the red line over there, which is not unexpected. You know, whenever price breaks down underneath from a support level, got rejected by the Kijun, by the Tenkan above, and it's not able to hold, and then it came back all the way down, touched the red line or the Kijun and bounced. The reaction is very, very nice. So nothing wrong with it. If you are looking at the monthly time frame, you can see that right now. I did not think that this month is going to close underneath the rising Tenkan on the monthly chart. The rising Tenkan right now is located at around 55,713. So those people who are calling for lower numbers, they're just purely guessing. There's a lot of support above that it broke underneath on a higher time frame. That was I thought it was more than likely it's just going to bounce back up to those levels. As long as the month closes above 55,713, I feel pretty good about Bitcoin. Like, there's really not much for me to really worry about. It's just that price just kind of gone sideways, and it back tested some of the things I needed to back test around the 49,000 levels, and it found support, and it's just going to go up probably higher moving forward. And that's Bitcoin. Even Ethereum's looking healthier. Just look at the monthly here. You can see that it is testing the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud. It hasn't really done that ever since it broke out. So this is actually a healthy price action. I think as long as the month for Ethereum closes underneath, let me see this number right there, around 2,475. I would feel safe that this is still an ongoing bull trend. This is still a very healthy backtest of the Ethereum monthly Ichimoku cloud. I would also like to see it close the month about 2,550, 2,550, because that's where that red line is, and the red line is pointing up too. This is the Kijun is pointing up. So I think it's probably going to serve as better support if than anything. As far as Ethereum is concerned, like the Tenkan, the blue line is also pointing up as well, as around 3,070. I would actually not be surprised if this month closed above like 3,070 either, just because everything is just so super pointing up right now. That's my quick thought about Bitcoin and Ethereum. Let's talk a little bit about the other stock that I generally follow, such as MicroStrategy, right? With MicroStrategy, oh man, this chart is a little bit busy here. Let me see if I can, I don't know how to do that on my phone. All right, busy it is. Basically, it just back tested the 0.786 and bounced. It also back tested the red line at the Kijun, and it bounced, and also bounced above the blue line. All of this is so far is very, very healthy. And right now, even bounced back up to the previous cycle high at the, it's not really a Fibonacci level, but like back in the previous cycle high, right over here. At that wick over there, which is promising. Now, where's the target going to go to next? It was able to bounce about all that. It could get up to maybe like 2,050, somewhere up there. That would be my next target. And then after that, we'll talk more. But so far, I like the fact that it came back down and tested what it had to. In terms of the lower time frame chart, on the weekly, it is running into a little bit of resistance here on the weekly chart. Again, I would like for it to really get back above the one, the Fibonacci, which is the previous wick over here. Right now, it looks like it is trying to get over that, but we might end up getting rejected here. You also have a little bit of the kitchen line underneath that we might end up getting rejected here. It might go sideways for another couple months or so before hitting the cloud, before bouncing up. I can totally see that potentially happening, right? If you're talking about MSTR over Bitcoin chart, whether or not MSTR is still outperforming Bitcoin, the answer is yes. It's just bounced above the Tenkan and Kijun here on the weekly. And the reaction for market strategy so far is very, very nice. Talking about Coinbase also has some resistance that it needs to get over. Currently, it got rejected here at the blue line here, and also got rejected at the arc now of the GAN. And the 0.382 level, is hopefully it can still be serving as support. But so far, you're hitting a little bit of resistance here. I think price is still going to probably end up wanting to gravitate towards 200. But right now it's just hitting a little bit of a nag, and you still have plenty of support underneath, right? For example, the 0.382, which is 183, that could potentially be some pretty decent support. So we'll see how price reacts there. But if you look at a higher time frame, like on the 2-week chart, it looks like it bounced off of the Kijun underneath of that right there, the red. It also looks like it wants to gravitate back towards the top of the Ichimoku cloud here on the 2-week chart, which is going to be right around 200. And also, if you look at the monthly chart, if you just zoom out, right now you have the blue line is rising. It really looks like it wants to just it's like a volleyball, coming down, and looks like somebody wants to spike it up higher. That's what Coinbase looks like to me, and the blue line right now is around 199. So I do think the price is probably going to gravitating up towards 199 to 200 for Coinbase, and that's probably where we're going to close the month, if not higher. And if it does that, this is actually a very, very bullish development, because it just went down and tested a lot of liquidity underneath, and it back tested a lot of the support underneath below, including it got really close to the monthly Kijun, the red line over here, which is a promising development. Now, if you're asking about Robinhood, even Robinhood is looking very nice. Initially, I was telling you for months, I didn't like how price just got way too far, way too fast away from the Tenkan and Kijun, the blue and the red line underneath right there. And right now, you know what? It got rejected at 0.5, came all the way back down, back tested arc right there at the blue. And then right now, price just kind of went up and now is above the monthly Tenkan and Kijun again. It's no longer overextended. It looks like Robinhood would be ready to run if it wants to. And I think the downside risk for Robinhood right now would be a lot lower than any potential upside risk, as far as I can tell. And I don't even need to go through like any lower time frame chart. I like the way that Robinhood is looking. Now, CleanSpark's looking a little bit different. It really went down so far, still underneath the Tenkan and Kijun. Now, because the Tenkan, the blue line right there, for CleanSpark is still pointing up, I do think that I would not be surprised at all if the month closes above the blue line, which is currently at 15.23. I would not be surprised if CleanSpark ends up closing a month above 15.23, and that would be a very bullish development. If it does that, that's a big giant hammer candle, just waiting to like really attack the cloud again. We'll see. Even if it closes at the baseline, it might still getting stuck in the range between the red line and the blue line here. The red line right now is around 13.23. I really do expect the price to probably end up closing inside of that. But we'll see what happens. I mean, you have some pretty strong support underneath. It just kind of wicked down. I guess that's what Bitcoin does. But the reaction so far has been excellent. Looking at, another way to look and see what's happening is that it's simply really just try to, it's simply just really try to hit the 20-month moving average and get really close to it. And the 20-month moving average is the orange line right there. It came up real fast and really seemed like it wanted to just spike the price up higher. And that's exactly what it's doing. So I think it found some support and is going up higher because of it. Overall, this is just a higher low compared to the fact that we just had a higher high back a few months ago. So it's still a bull trend. I'm still bullish on CleanSpark, and I still think that it's a pretty decent opportunity. I might continue to add a little bit more if price continues to give me an opportunity to do so. But so far, if you look at this, you look at Bitcoin, like Bitcoin's outperforming CleanSpark right now. So if you chase Bitcoin rather than getting into CleanSpark, if you do like, double leverage or whatever you want to do, it's not a bad idea, but it's not a financial advice, obviously. Looking at another stock, which is Mara. Mara really bounced just right off of the 0.136 level at $14. It's interesting, like CleanSpark. I'm going back to CleanSpark here real quick. It closed a lot of the weekly gaps, or the daily gaps, actually, I should say. It closed a lot of the daily gaps that we had. It just closed all these gaps that we had over here, like in early 2024. I guess that's what market makers want to do. They want to close gaps. Whatever you want to do, that's fine. For Mara, something else has happened, which is it actually did end up closing the gap over here around November, December 2023. The gap has finally been closed, and that's why we have a pretty strong bounce. I mean, right now you do have some resistance above. You do have the bottom of the weekly Ichimoku cloud for Mara, which is currently priced is right around, I would say, 18.2. You might have some resistance there. You might have some resistance when it gets to 22, 21, 22 would be resistance zone. But right now it's at the bottom of the range that's been oscillating around for a very long time. So I cannot really be that bearish at the bottom of the range. And so if you look at higher time frame, it still looks fine. Look at 2-week chart, it still look well inside the Ichimoku cloud. Looking at the monthly chart, it is still underneath the Tenkan, the red line over here on the monthly. But I'm going to show you here. But let me see if I can get rid of the volume over here, get rid of some of the other marker. But if you look at the Super-Ichi cloud, it is back above the Super-Ichi Tenkan, right? It's still range bound, and it's just towards the bottom of the range, bounced from Fibonacci level wick underneath of it. But it's still looking pretty decent. If you look at the Super-Ichi, it's just simply range bound, right? So it'd be nice if we're able to close above the baseline here, the red line kitchen for the monthly. It'd be nice if we were able to close above the 18.6 level. But if it doesn't, I think we're still at the bottom, closer to the bottom of the range, which is not really like a bearish thing, so I'm not really that worried about it. Yeah, so Mara still looks pretty good. Bitfarms is also looking pretty decent. I think it's going to get pretty close to the red line. The red line or the kitchen right now is at 2.14. It's probably where price is going to gravitate up back towards, and it's probably going to challenge that 2.5 range as resistance there. We'll see what happens. We just had a big giant sell-off, and we're still trying to recover, so we're still underneath a lot of resistance. But the overall chart it still looks very bullish. This is more likely it's still like a higher low, so there's still really nothing to really get that concerned about. Cipher looks great still. If I'm going to zoom in here, like Cipher basically just bounced off the 0.236 Fibonacci level, is still trying to break about the 5.5 zone of resistance that we've been having for like the entire year. Is still underneath of that, but again, it's just formed a higher low, and it's probably going to end up reclaiming the red line, which is the kitchen, which is currently located at around 4.19, and we're getting pretty close to reclaiming that. If it reclaims the blue line up above, the Tenkan up above, which is going to be around 5.07, that would even be better. But overall, I'm not bearish on this. It's just made a higher high and it's trying to make a higher low. And I like Cipher, right? Now, going back to another stock that everybody's been freaking out about, which is IREN. IREN bounced off the angle and bounced off of its Fibonacci level at 0.3236 perfectly. And right now, it looks like it wants to gravitate back towards the monthly kitchen at the red line. The red line is going to be around 4.19. Wait, no, wrong stock. The red line is going to be around 8.39. So that's where price probably going to end up gravitating up towards. But right now, because IREN was one of those that have been way overextended, even if Bitcoin recovers very, very strongly right now, it's not entirely surprising that IREN is going to lag behind. So, but still, it still looks like very bullish. Try to just form a higher low. Looks like it wants to go up higher. I am not worried about the way that IREN is looking right now. If you look at the weekly, all IREN is doing right now is just, you had a big rejection off of the arc right there, and it came back down and back testing the the Ichimoku cloud there. I thought that $8 was going to be a pretty decent support. No, with the Bitcoin sell-off, it went all the way back down to test the cloud and to test the test the angle right there that you're seeing at the green angle, right? And it bounced back about the 0.236 so far. The reaction is pretty decent. Went back up and tried to close that gap above, and the gap was closed. And I think, gap was closed at around 8.43. And whenever you have a gap closed, sometimes you do end up getting rejected at the gap right there. And so far, it's just been doing that. But overall, it's just formed a macro higher low. And it looks like it probably wants to gravitate up towards the double-digit zone. You do have some resistance there before it gets there. But it looks like it wants to get back up there. So yeah, I'm not bearish on IREN at these levels. Talking about TeraWulf. TeraWulf basically bounced off of very, oops, I moved that, but don't worry about it. I can't correct that on here. But bounced off of a very important Fibonacci level. Also bounced off a very important, horizontal level over here that have been resistance here for quite some time. Throughout 2024, you had a big breakout. Same thing like IREN, got rejected off of the arc and came back down. It didn't really quite test the angle or the cloud underneath, unlike IREN. So WULF looks actually a little bit maybe more ready to go than IREN, but it's nothing bad, right? I can talk a little bit about the other ones, like BTBT bounce off of the arc right there is underneath the weekly Ichimoku cloud. But if you look at higher time frame, it looks like it wants to reclaim the red line over there. And the red line on the monthly so far is located at, let me see the price right there, is located at 2.9. So this price currently going to have gravity towards 2.9. And we'll see what happens after that. But BTBT looks pretty decent. HUD8 bounced off of that angle right there. And the resistance for HUD8 more immediately is going to be right at the Fibonacci level at 0.136 at 14.64. But if it gets up there, there'll be a big giant hammer candle, and it looks very nice. And you would be closing above the monthly Tenkan and Kijun, which monthly Tenkan and Kijun right now is around 13.64 and 13.33. So those are some pretty important levels to consider. Finally, cores, I don't have much to say. Riot broke down underneath my angle over here, and right now it's still kind of suspended in space, and it's got a lot of resistance above of it. All I can say about Riot on the monthly chart, I can still see it gravitating it back up towards the red and blue line over here, which currently are located at 13 and 11.95. I can see price gravitating back up there, especially if Bitcoin continues to show recovery strength. That would probably be a level for it to get back up there. But just very important to understand that there's a lot of resistance up above, and it's not just seen on a monthly time frame. You also see it on the weekly time frame too. Around 13, there's going to be the cloud right there. There's going to be the angle or the arc right there. You're going to have a lot of resistance above, so just be careful. Initially, I thought that we're not going to make a lower low, but we did. I really thought that the candle, the hammered candle back in April 2024 over here, I really thought that was kind of bouncing right off of the angle. I thought that was the bottom for Riot, but it ended up just broken down underneath that, and went down a little bit lower. Hey, it happens. But I still think price wants to guide it up towards the low teens, and then we'll see what happens right after that. Anyway, thank you so much.